Hi there, I'm Ahsan Ali Shaw, and you're watching me on YouTube and Facebook Live. Today, we are going to talk about what is detachment or non attachment and how to achieve emotional detachment. When we say detachment or non attachment, detachment is a philosophy where a person controls his desires of worldly things, people, and places in order to achieve high virtues. And many mainstream religions also talk about the significance of detachment in our lives. Detachment allows a person detachment helps a person to reduce his worldly worries. And the detachment and how to achieve emotional detachment is our topic for discussion today. And my guest is Edward Konowicz, and he has joined us from Virginia, United States.
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm
Hey,
trying to
Ed.
post. I'm trying
Okay.
to post the.
When we talk about detachment, then it may seem very easier to say detach yourself from the worldly things and people and places. Then in reality, it is very difficult because our existence here on Earth, on this planet, is because of attachment. We are the product of our parents' attachment, parents' desires to be born. And most of the people I'm talking about, that there are some people who just left their kids, but a vast majority of the people, they have the desire of kids and children, and we are the product of attachment. Then it is very difficult to just control your desire. How could you do that?
Well, I think there's a lot of different definitions and ways of looking at this,
Hmm.
and I don't like doing a video unless I introduce something new. So I'm going to
Okay.
present a different understanding of non-attachment or detachment.
Okay.
Everything changes,
Hmm.
and if we get too fixated on the way we think something is, it's going to harm us because things slowly change and we have to be open to it. And the past changes. People say, well, you can't go back to the past, but we see the past within the context of the present. And as our present changes, some parts of our past become more valuable, some become less valuable because we have a new perspective. We review our memories, and our memories are part of the past. And this idea of time travel, no, we travel to our memories and they can alter, not by our will. We don't say, hey, we want this to have happened in the past. We grasp a different meaning of what happened and why it happened, and it changes our whole perspective on our past because now we see it in different terms. But non attachment is based on, we could go back to the Greek Heraclitus. You can't cross a stream in the same place twice because life is changing. And since life is changing, we don't want to be attached to the old image. So I see non-attachment as being adaptable to the change. I don't see it as, oh, I have a family, I'm not going to be attached to my obligations, or I have a house, I don't have to mow the lawn or paint. That's not non-attachment. Non-attachment is, well, I try to paint and it's too costly or something, so then I put on vinyl siding. Non-attachment is to not be fixated on a goal, but to be able to flow with the necessary changes to obtain a similar goal. And a lot of times, our goal is just not apropos, it's not going to help us. So we have to change our perception. We can't be attached to the specifics of what we wanted to do.
Uh, And I was thinking about the same thing that that the, we are, if you look at this world, that everything is changing. Look at ourselves, we are also changing from childhood to adulthood and adulthood to old age. Then the next phase, we our legacy, we leave this world to our children, and they do the same. The whole is kind of wheel that has been revolving around for centuries, and it has been what about the worldly things? They're also changing. uh, then if you look at from the change perspective, then it makes us realize that if we attach ourselves to the variables, then we are going to be hurt. So in order to achieve non-detachment, you have to detach yourself, and from these variables, you have to realize that these are the things are that we are the changing, and they are also changing. So when you attach yourself from something that is changing or has been changing, then the result would be the same.
Okay, let me give an example. You started
Mhm,
off with emotional non
mhm,
attachment or
mhm,
detachment.
mhm,
Well, we don't want to be attached to one emotion because there may
mhm,
be a better emotion or a more appropriate emotion. So we shouldn't be attached to a specific emotion. We
mhm,
may be attached to a situation, but then our own inspiration, our own intelligence should improve it, which means our emotions are probably going to change, and so is our action. So non attachment is not distancing
mhm,
ourselves.
mhm,
Non attachment, in my point of view, is to be able to change and not be fixated, which is saying, this is my goal. I'm going to achieve it no matter what. This is my feelings about this person. Your feelings could be worse. I'm not saying things are going to get better. You may be in a relationship with a terrible person and you keep finding out they're worse and worse. You don't want to be attached to your first perception. You want to basically flow. And so non attachment means you want to be loose. You want to be able to flow as reality changes for you to be able to influence. And I'm not saying non attachment is distancing. A lot of people feel that. The original meaning of non attachment was renunciation. You become
mhm.
a monk, you get your bowl for begging for rice, you wear a robe, and you go in a monastery and you renounce worldly goods, sex, and everything else.
Yeah.
And I'm
I
saying,
think
no, that's
mainstream I think mainstream but religions, they also talk about the renunciation of detachment. They mean detachment as renunciation. Just like in Christianity, the Pope has doesn't have to marry. I think it was the earlier. Uh, do they marry?
no, they don't. They're not allowed to marry it in Catholic
Yes.
Church. But that's
Yes.
not detachment.
Mhm.
Detachment or not is to deal with things as they're changing and to be able to influence them intelligently. So when I'm saying I'm non-attached, it doesn't mean I don't try to influence something. I mean, I detect the flow, my inspiration. I don't get attached to one point of view or one way of doing things. And I don't know anyone else but me who's saying that. Non attachment is not you don't attach, it means you're open to the changes. Your perception is keen, KEEN, or sharp. You see things changing and you respond appropriately, and you may not get the response you want. So you're non attached and you say, well, I tried, that didn't work, so I got to do something different. So non attachment is more flexibility. It's
I like
more,
the I like the example of flowing stream, that once you enter the water, you could not enter the same water ever again because the water has been flowing.
yeah, it's always
Is it?
changing. And water represents the universe. In fact, it may dominate much of the universe.
I think
And
the
we,
flowing
we
state.
have to be like water. We flow like water, but it doesn't mean we don't push the the flour mill. It doesn't mean we don't generate electricity as we go over the dam or through the dam, the
Mhm.
turbines. It doesn't mean we don't swim. It doesn't mean we don't row our boat. It we recognizes the change. Oh, the weather's getting bad. Here comes a thunderstorm of water, and we're not fixated, which is we don't have an obsessive view of life. We're not obsessive in the way we want to approach things. We're open to change. It's it's sort of like Simone Biles, the gymnast. She says, "Well, I can't do it well." I mean, I read which there was a reason why she decided not to go into the Olympic finals, but she changed. That's maybe why she is a great athlete because she says, "Well, no, I'm not going to be attached to competing. I'm going to do what my inspiration or my feelings feel is the correct thing. I'm not going to be attached to a goal. The goal may change." Hi, Linda.
Hey, Linda.
So, non attachment, I'm giving a totally different definition, which is we're open to change. We don't want to get obsessive. We don't want to fix our past or the future or what we do. We want to be open to how things change. And to be open to how things change, we have to be loose. We, 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 we have to be non attached. And I
I
think
think
people,
if we apply this detachment formula the way you are uh, stating it, that you have to be flexible and loose, then I think things would become much easier in life. Look at the regulation system, the laws, the legal system, the culture variations, and everything. If everyone understand the concept of the idea of detachment as a flowing, as a flexibility, that everything is changing, then I think things become the problem arises when you are fixated to certain things. But everything is changing. How when you are fixated at certain point, then it would become outdated or obsolete after some time. Then when a person rises, gets up and says, "No, we have to change this." That's the problem. That's where the problem arises.
yeah, so people say they've been conditioned to say that you're not supposed to be emotionally reactive. They're conditioned to say you're supposed to do something without emotions. That's not true. You don't want to be attached to one emotion. You want an appropriate emotion that's going to improve the situation. And you have to be open to emotional changes. It's not you're not emotional. Is
Mhm,
that your emotions flow like water and can fill the cup no matter what the shape is. And it's sort of like water, why it's so useful. You can have a cup or a pot, whatever shape you have, it fills it. And that's the same thing with life. Non detachment doesn't mean we don't fulfill things, but we fulfill things with the appropriate shape. We fit into the hole. And it's really important to have that level of flexibility and a sense of change. A situation may not change. We may have to change.
mhm,
Or we have to recognize the situation changes. So non-attachment, in my point of view, is not being unemotional. It's having a flow of emotions that can go better and better.
mhm,
Non-attachment is not having goals. It's the ability to change your goals and how to achieve them. So non-attachment is not renunciation.
mhm.
Non-attachment, in my point of view, is to be non-fixated, is
Mhm.
to
And
be
be
open.
flexible.
Yeah. So, and I think it needs to be said because religion and others, I think, have pushed and insisted upon a lower interpretation of non attachment. And I think
And
this is
this,
a better interpretation.
yes, I agree. And what about the other, when we talk about the emotional attachment? Don't you think it is our instinct to be emotionally attached to people and things?
Yeah, we have to be emotionally attached to people and things, but not just one person, not just one thing. We have
Mhm,
to look at what is the appropriate amount of emotion, what is the quality of emotion, when do we take a break? I mean,
mhm,
I'm just using reasoning.
mhm,
People can say, "Well, you're bullcrapping, you're not saying anything."
mhm,
I'm knocking down the
mhm.
misperceptions of non-attachment, saying the real issue is flexibility, that we can change because things are changing and we can learn. That's non attachment. I'm not fixated. I'm not obsessive with doing the same thing over and over again. I can learn. That's a non attachment.
Okay, okay. The question is, how can you love more person at once, two or three or five people at once?
Well, I don't think you
If you
can. I
apply.
mean, you have to decide priorities. Those
Mhm,
priorities may change. I mean, there's no simple answers. You basically have to,
if
try your best
if
sometime, take a break, see what your
mhm,
inspiration is, see how things change. And of course, what? Be flexible.
yeah.
And when
No,
someone's
when we say flexible, then there's how can you be flexible when you are involved with more than one people in a relationship, in your more than one people, and you are emotionally attached to one person? How can you be emotionally involved with more than one people and with the relationship? And okay, let's say it. Okay, I'm just being flexible. What does it mean?
well flexible, every person has to define that for themselves. I can't tell another person what their priorities are because they may be a different type of personality. They may have different needs, they may have different capabilities. And so flexibility, I mean, we can look at it. Let's make this relevant. When things are not flexible, when it's one way, it's tyranny. That's what we have today. There's no flexibility in interpretations of these illnesses. We're supposed to accept only one interpretation, only the solutions we're given. We're not allowed to be flexible, and that's tyranny. So, what the goal is non attachment, which is we're allowed to view things differently. We're allowed to approach trying different solutions and evaluate it on our own, which is we're non attached, we're not fixated. And dictatorship is the ultimate fixation. Dictatorship wants to tell you what you have to do, what you have to say, what you have to think. And it's so damaging. So this concept of non-attachment applies to politics, applies to everything. Are you going to be flexible? Or are you going to be dictating to yourself or let someone else dictate and fixate how you operate? And the thing is, we're all unique and we all have different variations. And one treatment, one solution is not for
Not for
all.
everything. Yes.
And when someone tries to impose that, they're trying to turn us into robots. They're trying to turn us into a machine, claiming we all have to behave and be the same. No, we don't. That's what
We
choice
all,
is,
we
flexibility.
all, we all are different, and the circumstances, the situation, time is changing, so things are changing. So you have to change as well. Be flexible. This is, I think, detachment. Detachment, the new definition of detachment.
Right. And I go on here or other
Mhm.
places because I say something no one else is saying. The
All right.
Buddhism sees non-attachment as, oh, you live a life of renunciation, or you're
Mhm.
not emotionally attached to the Maya or the illusions of life. I can't really speak for Buddhists because there's different types of Buddhists. They think differently. But just like some Christians, like Catholicism wants to say they're the one true church. Some Buddhists want to say they're the one true Buddhism or one true detachment. And I'm saying no.
And there are many Muslims. They claim the same thing.
Yeah,
That
one holy
they,
book.
yeah, their book and their religion is the truest one, and everything else is wrong and false.
So you can look at all of life, and no religion except Buddhism says this, but not in the way I say it. All of life is supposed to be non attached, which
Mhm,
is all of life. We're supposed to have this flexibility
mhm,
to learn, to be able to go with changing things and change our own involvement. So I don't see being involved as attachment. I see being involved with a specific goal that's not going to change, with a specific emotion. If you're going to be involved with people or a task or thinking, you want to be open to improvement, to learning, and to change. You don't want to be fixated. And it's a simple message. We're going to finish easily in
mhm,
25 minutes. I don't see
mhm,
belaboring the point. It's just simply be flexible. And that's enough of a word. And most people understand flexibility to say, okay, that is a form of non attachment because you're flexible in learning, changing. You're not obsessed with one emotion. You're not obsessed with trying one thing over and over again. And I would go far and say mental illness or ill feeling is attachment. You're not
mhm.
open to change. You keep wanting to do either the same thing or the same feelings
Hey,
come in,
Amanda.
and, and it's hard. Yeah, hi, Amanda. It's hard to be flexible in life because the rotten politicians that try to fixate you, the doctors try to fixate you, your relatives and friends try to fixate you. And now you have to be flexible, and being flexible is a lot of work. I know as I got older, I had to spend more time exercising and flexibility. I used to spend more time lifting weights and doing push ups, but now I got to spend my time in stretching my, elbows, my hips, my knees, my back. I have to really emphasize flexibility. And of course,
Flexibility.
that's going to dribble into my or spill into my
Mhm,
mind of the
mhm.
importance of flexibility.
Flexibility.
In fact,
Yeah.
once I started doing some serious flexing on my back and muscles, I no longer had any pain in my back. A large part of intermittent pain in the back is from a lack of flexibility. And I think that's true for life. A
Mhm.
large, um, good, Amanda, I'm glad we're in agreement. A large part of the pain in life is from a
It
lack
comes.
of flexibility. It may
Mhm,
not be our flexibility that's the
mhm.
problem. It may be our political leaders, it may be the doctors, it may be our family members, but a lack of flexibility produces pain.
I think when we talk about the religion, we talk about the government system, political system, social setup, and cultural setup. All of these things, they are fixated on certain things, and I think that's where the problem. That's where
Yeah, these
the
institutions
disagreement.
try to fixate you. That's why
Yes.
they like buildings, because
Hmm.
buildings tend to be fixated.
And
And it's a
those
battle not to be fixated because people are trying to fix an image on you.
and
They're trying to fix a stereotype, conspiracy theorists,
mhm. I think
sellout.
that
They're trying to
the
fix
fixation
you.
the fixation is the main cause of the conflict between those who are changing, who are flexible, and those who are rigid with their beliefs that this is the thing that we have learned, so we have to follow it. And the other person, on the other hand, there are some people who are modern to some extent, we can say. They are flexible, they want things to change, and there's a conflict, and it's not the new thing, it has been going on for centuries.
Yeah, see the
So what are
approach
so what
the
are your
approach
final
I'm
thoughts?
taking, rather
Mhm,
than say, "Oh, love is the answer," I'm saying
mhm,
flexibility is the answer. I mean,
mhm,
people can claim to love you, but if they're not flexible, if they're going to fixate you, they're going to damage you. So,
mhm,
so people come up with these different answers, and I'm saying, well, here's an insight: be flexible
mhm,
and learn. Don't be obsessed the way something's going to have to look how you look. Don't be obsessed. Would you do something, try to improve it or try to relax it? You know, don't be fixated and don't let people fixate you.
yeah,
It's a totally different approach. And
yeah,
I had to
I
give
this
some credit. I had to give some credit to Buddhism because that's somewhat there in the religion. Most religions don't say be flexible.
mhm,
It's somewhat there in Hindu because yoga is about being
flexibility.
physically flexible. And I'm saying being mentally flexible and emotionally flexible is even more important than the physical, though the physical goes with it. I mean, as I'm trying to be more flexible, I do a lot of different yoga exercises and stuff to try to be more flexible physically.
Mhm. And I think when we talk about the love and relationship, you should involve in a relationship or be loved with the person who is flexible, who is changing, and he or she would allow you to change with time. And when you are a person who is fixated uh, at certain things, then things would become difficult in the future, in my point of view.
Yeah, it's like with so-called loving a person,
Mhm.
the you
Hey,
have to know when
Sandra.
you want to be close and sometimes you need distance. People,
Mhm,
because they don't have much love in their life, they get obsessive with a person that they find some feelings of love and then want to be with them too much.
mhm,
They want to fixate the person as if they own them because they love them. No, you have to be flexible. Things come and go, emotions come and go, feelings come and go,
and
and to get
fixation,
fixated, even with good intentions, can do harm.
yeah, I think fixation is also the main reason of jealousy.
Yeah,
Mm.
and
So
it,
what is your what are your final thoughts?
what's my what?
Final thoughts.
My final part is simply let's let's value non-attachment more, but interpret it in terms of flexibility and learning and changing, and stop just believing what people tell us is the definition. There's more than one definition to everything. And
Mhm.
really, what brainwashing is to insist upon one definition. And all brainwashing and tyranny is based on fixing people, treating everyone the same. And non attachment is about flexibility and recognizing the uniqueness of each person and of each situation, and to be able to change with it and not be fixated.
Yes, brainwashing is fixation is a one part is a brainwashing is a process of fixation a certain thing with certain points, and detachment is non-attachment is means being flexible. I think we have covered enough and with various examples and definitions, and detach yourself from not detach yourself, not renunciation. Detachment means be flexible in life.
Okay, good.
Yeah, thank you, and
Okay,
thank
see
you, Amanda.
everyone
Thank
next
you,
week.
Sandra. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for your comments. I'll see you next week. And if you have any questions, just leave it in the comment box below.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
answer
post it
you.
on
Ed will
my
Ed will
Facebook
get
page.
back
Of
to
course,
you.
I can't get to the comments
Mm,
in StreamYard. But
Yes.
I have a link on my Facebook page. Just do a search on Konowicz. You'll find
Mm,
Edward Konowitz. Okay.
yes.
Have a good
Thank you. Have a
rest
good
of the
day.
weekend.
Yes.